I answered the line and asked what the problem was, just like always, and immediately on the other end of the line, I heard frantic screams and voices as someone struggled to ask for help. There was a noise like someone banging on a door and a little girl sobbing. "What is your location?" I asked the caller, trying desperately to triangulate the call. Then I heard the screams get louder as someone smashed what sounded like glass over them. The line became garbled and the sobbing became softer. A new voice, masculine, answered my questions. "We didn't mean to call 911. This was a false alarm," the voice said coldly. "Sir, dispatchers are going to find your location very soon. Whatever it is you are thinking of doing, please don't," I said as calmly as I could. His voice was so calm it unnerved me. Something told me it was already too late. A short time later, the dispatchers confirmed the worst. The entire family had been slaughtered by their father. Sad to say, that isn't the worst call I had. That would probably go to a caller that called themselves Danny. Danny seemed to have a lot on his mind, rambling about his family and how it was all gone now. It sounded like he was driving somewhere, so I asked him where. "To the lake. My old lady liked to go and fish there sometimes." I asked him if he was still married, and that seemed to make things awkward, so I changed the conversation back to fishing. In the meantime, I was getting first responders to his area. My guess was he intended to hurt himself and was calling 911 in a last-ditch effort for help. I was wrong about that. "I'm at the lake now. It's as beautiful as ever," he told me as I heard a car door open, then the sound of a gun as he loaded it with bullets. "Danny, whatever it is you're thinking of doing to yourself, please don't. From what I have heard so far, you sound like an amazing person. I'm sure your family still love you." "You think so? Well, let's ask him," he said. I heard him put the phone down and then the sound of a trunk whining as he opened it. Then I heard muffled voices struggling to be heard. He held the phone close enough I could hear him rip duct tape off his wife's mouth. "Dear, the 911 operator says you still love me. Is that true?" Danny asked her. I could hear her sob as she begged him to stop. "Let me ask you, Nick, what makes one life more deserving than another?" I felt so helpless as he dangled his innocent family as pawns for me to try and stop him, but I had to be calm and hope the dispatch would get there in time. "Well, Danny, I'd like to think that there is no correct answer to that question. To me, all life is equal. You're a good person still. You haven't done anything to change that." I heard him laugh. "Oh, really? I doubt you'd say that if I told you some of the things that I've done already." I knew he was toying with me, so I told him that sometimes we make mistakes. It always is a learning process. "You aren't going to hurt your family, Danny. That's why you called me." "So you're a mind reader now, Nick?" "Well, as it turns out, you're right. I'm not going to hurt them at all. It's actually where you come in." I couldn't even feel my body as I struggled to understand what he was implying. "I won't have any part in this. Police are on their way. You still have a chance to stop this," I told him. "I think you mean that you have a chance. You see, Nick, I didn't just call 911 by accident. This isn't my first rodeo. I called about, 9 months ago. My brother was about to commit suicide and he talked to someone who was supposed to help him. Talk him down. He was attacking his family, and someone called 911. Then he told them it was a false alarm, but the dispatcher refused to give up. I think you remember it well, don't you?" My blood was ice cold. I remembered that call very well. Like I said at the beginning, this job has gone crazy, but I never thought that the two worst calls of my career would overlap like this. "What are you trying to tell me, Danny?" I said. I knew what he was saying. He was saying, "It took some time, but I figured out who that person was. You, Nick. You were the operator, and so I decided to find a way to plan revenge." "What happened that day was beyond my control," I told him. "Trust me, I understand. But don't worry, you will be in full power this time, as you get to hear your own family speak and beg you to stop." He paused and I listened to a familiar voice. "Nick, please don't listen to this madness." "Amber Jane. AJ for short. My sister. She's a feisty one, but I tracked her down. Say hi to your brother for me, AJ." My heart raced as my little sister begged me to hang up. I could imagine her face as her voice trembled in fear. This guy is gonna kill us regardless, Nick. Don't spoil the ending, Danny teased. What do you want from me? I asked, looking at the monitor. The dispatchers were still 10 minutes away. I'm gonna give you a choice here, Nick. Who do I dispose of? My family or yours? He said. My mouth was dry. I knew that this was no game to the sadistic madman. He was hell-bent on destruction. You have 60 seconds. Make a choice and live with it. Accept what you did and pay the price, the man shouted. AJ kept telling me to hang up, but I was so paralyzed with fear all I could think of was saving her. I made a selfish decision that day and told Danny I wanted AJ to live. Wise choice. I figured you'd say that, he said. Then I heard a shot. I waited to hear more, but instead it was the sound of someone choking. AJ. You're sick! Why did you play that mind game? I screamed. These calls are recorded for quality assurance, Nick. I wanted to make sure your superiors knew how evil you could be too, he said. Then I heard him kiss his wife and children goodbye. I'm gonna place the car in neutral now and watch as my family drown in this lake. I kept trying to get him to talk, but all I could hear was the screams from that trunk. It was too late for any of them. The moment lasted forever. Then the line was silent and I was trying my best to not lose sanity. Monsters like you don't deserve life, Danny, I told him. My rage clouded my words. Wow, you really do suck at your job. If I died now, how would I pay for all this? He laughed. I could hear him getting ready to blow his brains out. Then at last the police arrived. During the interrogation, they asked him why he had done such vile deeds, and all this guy did was shrug. It took every bit of my power not to strangle him. The world has fallen into chaos like this too often, but I'm going to keep plugging along. I think that there are other Dannys out there that still need to be stopped, and maybe my job can help stop them. If nothing else, it honors those I lost that I don't give up no matter what. I just really hope my optimism for a better tomorrow isn't misplaced. When James had gotten into his mom's liquor cabinet, I should have known the night was going to take a bad turn. It was the first time that he and my best friend Kobe had gotten a chance to hang out since the pandemic lockdown, so there was definitely a reason to celebrate. And best of all, my parents were gone for the weekend to Colorado, so we could cut up and act like fools without any consequences, or so we thought anyway. After a few drinks, James was really loosening up and spouted off an idea that would change the course of our lives. We should do some prank calls, he slurred, laughing as we all sat in a circle in the den. His older brother Theo complained, "That sounds like elementary level stuff. Who would we prank? Nobody uses landlines anymore anyway." Well, maybe we could do it to the 911 operators, James suggested. That made me feel uneasy. Isn't that breaking the law? Cell phone signal is kind of spotty. It would take longer for them to figure out where the call came from, Theo admitted. Kobe laughed nervously. I can't believe you'd be down for that. Heck, it beats staring at you dimwits for hours, his brother said with a shrug. I don't know. It sounds like we could get in a lot of trouble, I told them. We're kids. What can they do to us? James asked. Technically, they could throw you in juvenile, but I say let's go for it. If something goes wrong, y'all could say it was my idea, Theo told us. Somehow that seemed to make everyone on board with this bizarre idea, and Theo took out his cell phone, offering to make the first call. 2 seconds later, the operator picked up and asked us the generic question. 911, what is your emergency? Yo, mama, I got the hots for you, Theo laughed. All of us immediately burst out into laughter as he put it on speakerphone to hear the woman's reaction. Can you repeat your emergency, please? I was surprised at how calmly she reacted, and James urged his brother to go further with the prank. I'm burning up with love. I need a hot date and wanted to see when you get off, Theo responded. There was a short pause, and all of us whispered for him to hang up, so he did. We laughed for a few seconds, and he huffed in frustration. Lame. I hope we get someone more interesting next time, he said. Kobe went next and got the same woman. He tried to use profanity to get a better response. Instead, she started acting like she was our mother. This line is meant for emergencies only. If you're not experiencing an emergency, you could be held responsible for impeding law enforcement from real situations, she said tersely. Oh, bite me, Theo scoffed. There was another short pause and we heard her typing on the keyboard. So, you're all in the same house then? Hang up, James told Kobe. We sat there in silence for a while as we pondered what to do. This wasn't going the way we'd hoped. Here, let me try. I'm gonna make her quit her job, I said. The operator picked up on the third ring. And what is your emergency? She asked with a sigh. I guess by now she knew that it was us. It had to be a slow night at the job, I thought. The house I'm staying at is on fire, I exclaimed. I was hoping because I was a new voice she wouldn't recognize that this was a prank. And what is your address? She asked. I panicked and turned to the guys for advice. Theo mouthed for me to hang up. Then we heard something loud crash outside the house. What was that? James blurted out. I gritted my teeth in frustration and heard the 911 operator sigh in frustration. Listen, boys, I've screened your number. If you call again, the police will be paying you a visit. Understood? I hung up and tossed the phone to Theo. Kobe was moving to the window where he saw a bright light. I think someone just hit that tree in your front yard, he said. I could see headlights now and smoke coming from the hood of a car. I'll go check it out. Stay here, Theo told us. He dropped his phone on the couch and all of us huddled near the window to watch as he approached to see if there were any survivors. Instinctively, I dialed 911 again. What is it this time? The woman asked. Someone just crashed outside the house, I told her. And who is it? Yo mama? She asked. No, I'm serious, I told her. I've been instructed by my supervisor to disconnect the call, she said. The line went dead and I heard Theo start to shout at the drive. It didn't sound friendly. Then there was gunfire. I watched as Theo crumpled to the ground, crying out in pain as a masked man came out of the car holding a gun. Oh my God, James blurted out. The man must have heard him because he looked straight at the house. Then he shot Theo in the head. I slumped down on the carpet trying to not panic. Lock the doors! Hide! Kobe shouted. He ran past us to a closet and closed the door. Then the masked man started to fire on the house. Bullets ripped through the windows as I fell on my stomach and crawled toward the door. James was furious. He ran to the kitchen and grabbed 2 sharp knives from the cutting board, standing near the door as the man got closer. Get upstairs. I can handle this, he told me. I looked across the room to where Theo's phone was at, rushing to grab it. A bullet grazed the back of my skull as I snatched it and rolled to the hallway. The masked man kicked the door in and I saw James jump him. I didn't look back as I went to the stairs, listening as the two fought and smashed up the house. I heard the knife strike the attacker a few times as the man shouted. And then as I reached the top of the stairs, I turned to see that James was being pinned down to the ground. Then the attacker sliced his throat and I heard him choke in his own blood. I ran to the master bedroom, fumbling with the phone as I dialed 911 again. The operator didn't respond at first and I tried to not cry. Pick up the phone. Please pick up the phone, I begged. What is your emergency? The operator finally asked as she came on the line. Please, you have to help us, I said, trying my best to keep my voice down. What kind of prank are we playing this time, boys? She asked back. Then below us, I heard Kobe scream and beg for his life as the killer found him. 3 gunshots echoed through the house. Oh my God, they're all dead. All of them, I said as I started to shake. I heard the operator frantically typing. Stay on the line with me. Police are already heading to your location. I kept still as I laid under the bed and the killer roamed the first floor to be sure no one else was hiding. Where is he now? The operator asked me. I think he's coming up the stairs, I said, blubbering like an idiot. Stay calm. Don't make a sound, she ordered. The killer was right outside the master bedroom. They moved to the bathroom first and I held my breath. My heart was pounding loud as I heard the mysterious attacker whistle softly, searching for me. Then they were at the door of the master bedroom. I saw their boots first, covered in my friend's blood. I was sure I was about to die. They came right next to the bed and sat down, and I couldn't hold my breath anymore. As soon as I made a noise, they snatched me out from under the bed. I screamed and cried as they held me down to the bed and pointed the gun at my head. Then I heard noises from outside. Police! You are surrounded! The attacker grabbed me and shoved me out of the room and down the stairs. I was held hostage as they moved to the front porch, their gun straight at the back of my head as they demanded he put his hands down. The killer was going to use me as leverage. But it all ended in a snap second. A red light beamed across the woods and sniped the killer from the trees. I ran toward the police, grabbing the nearest first responder and thanking them. It's over now, kid, a familiar voice said. It was the 911 operator. And from that day, I swore I would never disrespect them again.